My question is, knowing very well that the private sector won't withdraw from hiring the undocumented migrants, because obviously they maximize their profits from there. I mean, what would the Marsh and Marsh do to address the issue?
Okay, thank you so much, Sabelo. I think for us, luckily today we came out of a meeting with some of the biggest companies in the private sector. Your Checkers, your Mr. D, McDonald's, and the likes. There's a number of them. And in that meeting, they say that they are not hiring a lot of illegal immigrants, and those that are now trying to take them out of the sector or the sectors that they're in, which is what we got from them. Of course, this was the first engagement and it's not the last one with them, because we did highlight the dangers of what they're doing and the crimes. But what we also noted from that engagement is that the private sector itself is actually losing out. I know that in the meeting they were complaining about the fact that, for example, there were 800,000 tons of tissue that was imported into the country illegally, and it was all placed in tuck shops. And that meant that obviously this is the network of the Somalians, Ethiopians, etc. So they're also feeling the pinch of this entire crisis, and they were calling for better management of the ports and what's coming in, etc. So with the employment, we are going to be following up a lot with them. We've got the companies, we listed them, we sent our questions, and we have asked each and every one of them to give us the numbers of foreigners that they have and on what kind of permits are they on for them to be employed. So we're just waiting for those numbers. I don't know if that's a satisfactory answer. I'll be the first. I'd be shocked that our government continues to want to go against the people. But on top of that, as we had promised, we've seen a lot of people talk about the 30th of June as though they're waiting for some Holocaust to happen. And Umamo NG is even blatant about the SANDF. And the role that they're going to play. But for us, it's not going to go in the direction that they think, because we know how much they've been craving to use us as posters for violence and xenophobia. Even when there's no violence, they create it in their heads. I mean, it was even so bad that even the Minister of Police was claiming that the people of Ghana experienced some violence, and when we sent a message to him, we didn't get a response of who are these people from Ghana. An entire Minister of Police issued a statement saying that. So what we're dealing with here is a government that is itching for violence. I think for them it's an opportunity to test their powers, because if they wanted to deal with crime and deal with violence and deal with all the problems that we have in the country, all that excitement that they have, they could have used it right now. We're dealing with a lot of crimes and criminals and organized crimes, but I've never seen them so excited to unleash the military. So if our demands are not met, we'll see.
Thank you. Can we take a news essay?
I'm Brian Smelena from News SA. Mangobes, how do you respond to the critics that says the movement is being influenced by Action SA to be specific? Is there a way whereby the movement is being influenced by political parties? And again, are you planning to join the Action SA? Because, for example, the likes of Zandile Tabula have joined the Action SA. The likes of Kwan Kumalo have joined the Action SA. Thank you. That'll be all.
Okay, let me start with the second question. Oh, never mind. Let me start with the first one. So you're saying if we're influenced by Action SA or any political party, and I'm going to answer this question holistically, because some people in this room might know how Much and Much started, how it was just me on social media complaining and people dared me, literally. We dare you to start and do something because you've been talking about this, you know. And that is really how we have Much and Much today. If it wasn't for those people, I don't think I'd also would have been brave enough to start something like this. But what I've noticed is the minute you stand up for something in this country, people start wanting to dig up on why is she doing that? You know, it's no longer about the movement. Now it's about Jacinta. And why is Jacinta doing this? And suddenly I'm funded, you know, and I'm saying, okay, why wasn't I funded all along when people were saying she's going to march alone, this thing is going to fail? The only time I'm funded is when it's a success. So the people that didn't expect Much and Much to come this far, the same people who got me fired from work, are the same people now that are casting aspersions about a political party. They have been saying, I'm going to a political party. If I meet up with someone from the MK, suddenly I'm sent by Zuma because it's a Zuma surname and this is Zuma Stockfell and I'm a Zuma Stockfellian, all of that, you know. Tomorrow I meet with the IFP, they'll say, oh, it's the IFP thing. They are trying to unleash violence as they did during apartheid because apartheid, the IFP was used to do the, you know what I mean? So what I've noticed is you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. From the onset, Much and Much was with those people from Action SA, was with those people from MK, was with those people from PA, was with those people from the IFP from the onset. But it's only now that people know that there's something called Much and Much, that they want to question things and they're not doing it the correct way. Because they're not asking us, they're telling us. They're telling us you are funded. They're telling us you're working with certain political parties because you're pushing a political career. Which goes to say, I can't be influenced by Action SA. Action SA is a political party. We are a movement. We're not focused on 50 other things happening in the country. We're focused on putting South Africans first. We're focused on fighting illegal immigration in the country and foreign nationals that are committing crimes in our country. That is our core focus. We're not like a political party that has 50,000 things they're trying to solve, potholes and what. We don't care about potholes. We don't, even if they're there, but it's not our mandate. And then am I joining Action SA? I think currently I'm sitting with about 7, if not 8 offers from political parties to join these, even some that I've never heard of in my life. Some are encouraging me every day to make Much and Much a political party. And I just don't know how to explain this, that I can't go into the system if I'm fighting the system. Then it betrays the trust of the people. Then I'm doing exactly what I said I wouldn't do. I said this before, maybe in the next couple of years to come, when it looks like there's a need for me to assist where I can assist, I wouldn't mind, because I know that I've studied this. I know I've learned it. I know international relations. I know how economics, politics work. If I'm needed, I will consider it. But right now, my job is to grow Much and Much, grow patriotism within the people of South Africa, and make sure that even when the next person or the next person comes, South Africans never forget who they are and never again allow a government to treat us the way that this government has treated us.
Ngiyabonga sanibonani Siphamandla from ENCA. What do you make of today's meeting with ministers? It would appear that Much and Much was really unhappy. What is it that made you unhappy? Are you going to be joining a follow-up meeting when they reconvene? Number 2, the issue of immigrants or migrants, Abagumo Road. eThekwini Metro is washing its hands. Home Affairs, police, and the provincial government are washing their hands. The people are still there. How should that matter be resolved? When you say you want a fence, are you calling for a border fence or what? If you can explain that, please. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. So today's meeting was a fruitless exercise because we've got a government that has mastered the art of pretending as if they're doing something, even if they're not doing anything. Today's meeting was merely just government doing a tick box exercise to say that, oh, we met with them, we tried to tell them this is what we're doing so that they can stop the nonsense that they're doing, and of today's meeting. And our government has made it a habit, man, to try and intimidate its own citizens. We've seen this in numerous times where they keep telling us about the police and how we've told the police that they must deal with them. We've told the police, and this is exactly what I was saying in the statement, that you've never seen them with this much excitement to deal with illegal immigrants, foreigners, and the corruption. I mean, Nigerians are on television every single Sunday, repeat offenders over and over again on the streets. They've taken over buildings, they've taken over the streets, they've taken over places, but government doesn't do anything. Right now, they're killing each other there, those Somalians, for tuck shops. And this is something that government knows. They're even killing South Africans for tuck shop. When Mazwi was kidnapped, not a single government person came out and said, oh, we're going to find those Somalians that kidnapped. They don't have that energy. They don't have that vigor when it comes to fixing foreign nationals and putting them in their place. So South Africans have assumed a posture of being the ones that are going to be dealing with illegal immigrants and their behavior in this country. Because the immigrants that we have in this country, they are twofold. There are those who are here as professionals and they know what they hear in the country, and you'll hardly ever hear those getting themselves involved in nonsense. But the ones that know that they are criminals, they are illegal, are the ones who are always intimidating us on social media. They are always the ones sending threats. They are always the ones that are the loudest. And I'm going to ask even members of the media, the same way you are following these immigrants on Mo Road every single day, follow up, Pella, on who was burning our houses. Follow up on who's sending us threats. Follow up on the cases that we've opened and our government doesn't do anything about the people who threaten our lives. Because it's very, being a foreigner in South Africa, I think sometimes I wish I was a foreigner. Because foreigners are extended with so much grace. I mean, they stand in front of the TV, they cry for 2 minutes, everyone is already saying, oh, they're so poor. Oh, they're so sad. Oh my goodness, these people deserve. And you know, for the first time, I must say, I must give credit to SABC for their journalist, Umamthe Tumbali, who asked the correct questions to an immigrant. I think I've never in my life seen a journalist ask questions to an immigrant. What are you doing in the country? How did you get here? Why are you still here? Are you breaking the laws of the country? No. The questions you guys like asking them, have you eaten? How much food have you had today? Oh, how are your children going to school? Oh my gosh. What did Martin March do to you? Oh, that is so sad. Guys, there's laws in this country. This thing of running a country on Ubuntu is exactly what got us here. All those countries in their said poverty stories there. If you were to go use Pamela to that country, nobody's going to ask you if you've eaten. Nobody cares if you've eaten. Why are we running a country on Ubuntu? How much Ubuntu can you extend to the whole continent and the whole world? We have laws in this country, and those laws must be respected, whether you are sad, whether you're a refugee, because this other one is saying he came here as a refugee because he had a fight with his family. Like, imagine you're a refugee because you had a fight with the family, and you decide to go to a whole other country. Hi, we've got serious problems in this country. So today's meeting was just that. It was just the government being government. They don't have what I can tell you, they don't have a plan. One, they don't know how they're going to fix the immigration crisis except to intimidate us to submission to keep quiet. They don't know who's going to help them to solve the problem. And more than anything, they are very terrified of those African countries. If there's one thing I must tell you, they never call them out on the human rights violations they are committing on their own people. But they know how to tell much and much not to violate those people. Their own government violated them first. Why are you not attending to the initial problem, the root cause of the problem? And that's why we are here today. And then on the immigrants on Moore Road, oh, Jesus. I think South Africans also need to wake up. I mean, there's a pattern to this. It's not the first time they're doing this. They've done it in Cape Town, they've done it in Johannesburg, now they're doing it in Durban. And you fall exactly for that trap. You go and you stand there with cameras, then they start crying, I'm sad, I'm broke, I'm poor, I'm this, I'm that. Firstly, how we deal with that is we remove those cameras from those people. There's nothing newsworthy about those people, absolutely nothing. The crowd is getting lesser and lesser, and anyone who fears for their life won't go and sleep outside Home Affairs if you're scared for your life. Like any scared person, you scared. So will you go and sleep there when you're scared? Because you will go and find a place where you're not going to be exposed. Why would a scared person go and sit where they're going to be even more exposed? Because if March and March was trying to hurt them, do you think we wouldn't have hurt them by now? All those days they're sleeping outside there? If we wanted to hurt them, by now they would have been hurt very easily, very simple. But those same people who say they're running away from March and March, they don't want to open cases. The other one came to a news journalist and said that they were hit by someone of March and March. The journalist said, did you open a case? And then they're asking me about it. I said to the journalist, why do you entertain people who haven't opened a case? Because that's hearsay. You know, I wouldn't go to the media and say, oh gosh, there's a foreigner who stabbed me, unless I say, I have gone to the police station, I've opened the case, this and this happened, etc. So now you're busy giving these people exactly what they want, and that's sympathy. Now they are demanding their own town. Like they want their own town from our government. They ran away from their government. Now they're saying they're not safe. Why they're not running away now? Like, what is stopping them from running away? Because I guess their job is to run away from being scared. Us as South Africans, we don't run when we're scared, we fight. And that's the difference between them and us. And if they were not running away from their government and they were fighting it, trust me, African leaders would be much better leaders today. And that is our concern, is that they sit there on Facebook every day, swearing at us and march and this and that. The energy that they have is the same energy all Africans need to have for their government, so that we don't have these corrupt leaders stealing money from people, stealing resources, getting rich, and their children are on social media, living a life buying LVs and Gucci's while you are living in abstract poverty. That is not a South African problem. And you can't blame South Africans for protecting their country. And the last one of borders, do we want borders to have a border fence? I think South Africa is currently facing a huge security threat, more than a lot of us realize. South Africa has NPOs and NGOs that are foreign funded and have millions of rands. That money goes to buying arms. And I'm saying this, having received this information in confidence, and I'm saying it because I want anyone who says that I'm lying to go and research what I'm saying and tell me that I'm wrong. These foreign-funded NGOs, some of them are used to buy arms. So there's a lot of guns that are hidden by these so-called refugees that they have to protect themselves, so they say. But it's not about protection. You must ask yourself, which country in the world discovers military training grounds that you didn't know? The government of Lesotho said that young people in Lesotho are coming here to be trained for the military. This is what the Lesotho government said. South African government doesn't even see a problem, Shem. They think everything is nice. I think Mamu Enji is too focused on much and much to focus on that. State security, the biggest problem we made was putting that under the president of the country. I don't even understand how that happened. Why would you put something so critical under the hand of the very same president who is more interested in foreign affairs than internal affairs and protecting this country? So we have lots and lots, I'm sure you as news people, you know, there's bombs being found at the border for heists and all these things. And right now we just saw even the Kruger National Park, the couple that passed away, they apparently, the people who committed the crime ran to Mozambique. There's other criminals like the Moyo guy who shot 2 police, ran to Zimbabwe. It's a common thing. So we need a serious border in this country. Because those vehicles, I don't know if you saw those vehicles that were there that were paraded by the Home Affairs Department, that they go into the river, blah, blah, blah. Those rivers don't even belong to BMA. They were just a demonstration. They've gone back to the owners because the government says they can't afford it. We don't have enough drones. The drones that they say they have are not enough. The situation at the border is BMA is suffering a lot. They're only operating at 25% capacity. That means 75% of the country is exposed to any threat from any international, even military agencies, agents, and we're sitting on a ticking time bomb. And I'm really hoping South Africans will stand up and defend their country, because I mean, seemingly the president doesn't fund the Navy, doesn't fund the SANDF, doesn't fund the police. Every single state entity that's meant to protect the country and its citizens is defunded, which leaves you with the question, which president in the world would want to leave their country that vulnerable?
Thank you very much for your time, Silito Ndlovu from Newzone Africa. Firstly, I heard you mention that the government is itching for violence on the 30th of June. Are you able to give us an outline or an elaborate plan at this plan for what is set to take place on the 30th of June? I know there's a lot of suspicion at this point, but are you able to give South Africans at this point an outline in terms of what is actually set to take place? Regarding the SANDF, I know you've touched on it briefly, but to please kindly just elaborate on your comment in terms of the SANDF being deployed on the 30th. And then lastly, I noticed on your media advisory, there was a national imbizo that was mentioned, maybe to also go into details in terms of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Guys, when Sleti is talking, would say, me complimenting Umbali might offend some of you. No, it's just I needed to compliment her because I really was taken aback by her interview skills. But I take nothing away from you, members of the media. If we did, you wouldn't be here today. But the 13th of June 2026, maybe I should just give a brief background of how it came about. So there's March and March, and then there's people who are joining March and March. They're members of March and March. Then there are people who are just ordinary people or organizations doing the same work that we're doing. And that is the likes of Upagelu Mtarati and Ungizwe Mchunu. They're not March and March. They are our support. We're a team. We support each other in the same ideology. And we as March and March did not issue the date of the 30th of June. It was issued by Insizwa Nobunzizwa, which is Upagelu Mtarati. And when he mentioned that, he did say that they would deal with it in a way that they see as fit. So for us, we have encouraged all other movements that are dealing with illegal immigration to really hop on the bandwagon, in the sense that this is a date, from my understanding, that is issued in order to encourage illegal immigrants themselves to deport themselves without us having to intensify our struggle or fight to the government. Because really it means that as South Africans, we are giving government until the 30th of June to give us a map of how they are going to deal with the issue of illegal immigration. I don't think any of us are stupid to think that all of them will be gone. Of course not. But we are encouraging them to go before the 30th of June. Because what we know is that the kind of illegal immigrants that we have here think they are more South African than South Africans. If you tell them about their home countries, they get very angry. If you remind them that they're not South African, they get very furious. They can even kill you if you remind them, hey, when you're a Nigerian or when you're a Zimbabwean, then they call you self-hate, you are xenophobic, you are Afro, for all of this, right? So there's two types of immigrants that we are dealing with. There's those that we know will self-deport. We know those ones. They're most of the time just innocent people who are just coming here to just make a living, etc., etc. And those will go. They're not going to give much of a problem. But the ones that will stay are the ones that are the biggest problem. Those are the ones that require the intensity of the government, that require the intensity of South Africans. And that's why we're going to intensify our pushback to government, our pressure to the government. And all those who always say, you're always fighting immigrants and immigrants are innocent. There's not a single innocent person who comes into a country illegally. There's nothing innocent about that. So they are just as much to blame as our government for coming into our country legally. And we are really urging government to go to these embassies and start those conversations. Start telling those embassies to collect their illegal immigrants and ask them to leave the country. Are you satisfied? Okay. And then the issue of the SANDF, I think it would be a very sad day if the government were to resort to unleashing the soldiers or the military on its own people. I think it would be a very, very sad day. We already know that they've done it in the sense that they say they are combating crime that they have failed to control. And I feel like with that being done, they can use those very same soldiers that they've deployed to fight crime to remove illegal immigrants. But so far, I haven't seen illegal immigrants being removed by the SANDF, which once again proves that our government is fighting its own people. They're not fighting crime. Because if they were fighting crime, there would be SANDF members there at Point Road, where there are women and girls that are trafficked, where there are 13-year-olds that we found breastfeeding a child of a Nigerian there in that room, where there are drugs and the police there at Point Road are part of the criminal network. If the government was really sending out the SANDF members to fight the crime that we have in this country, they would have started with those places. But they're not interested in that because they know exactly why they've been sent out. And we will hear from Mam Njibuti what exactly is her plan, because you can't kill every single South African, because majority of us are tired of illegal immigrants. If they want to kill all of us, then they must go ahead and kill us, but we'll die fighting for the future of this country, because I cannot imagine any of our children having to confront Nigerians and being bossed around by Somalian children. We already have to put up with so much of that. Currently, we're sitting with so many cases of young girls that have been raped and molested by these Somalians and Ethiopians, and they claim it's because they helped us with apartheid. We've paid our dues now. It's time that everyone goes home. And the National Imbizo, well, we're currently still in talks with some government entities, because obviously we don't have money to pull together something of that magnitude, but we're trying our best to do so. If the government doesn't pull together for that, we are definitely going to try and get sponsorship from people who are ordinary South Africans to fund the National Imbizo, where all of us get a say in the issue of illegal immigrants. Because I think we've seen, even on social media, you know, it's no longer a conversation for people who are not educated, as some like to say. You know, even the most educated of people are joining the conversation to say, South Africa is currently not facing xenophobia. That is not the real diagnosis of the problem. South Africa is currently facing an issue of limited resources being given to people who are not South Africans, and South Africans fighting for the survival of themselves, because the government has neglected them, and the government is busy with corruption. All they care about is who's going to be the next millionaire through corruption. They don't care about South Africans. They don't fight there in those meetings because they're fighting to better the lives of South Africans. They're fighting for who's going to be the next thief that they're going to elevate, who's going to steal for them and bring their money to their political parties, etc. So that is the problem that we're facing. We're facing politicians who want to use politics as a career instead of using it as an opportunity to change the lives of South Africans and deliver services to South Africans. Most of them are criminals disguised as politicians. Some of them are sitting there in high fences and high walls, busy doing interviews, drunk, calling us names as much and much, whereas they are the ones guilty of crimes. Imagine having to be called by someone who's found guilty by the court of law as a vigilante and an extortionist, whereas they are still running away from going to jail. It must be a very beautiful country that we live in. Even criminals have the audacity to call us names when all we're trying to do is do what the government failed to do. We're not trying to get political party votes here like them. We're doing this because we are South Africans who are fed up.